everybody. This is STORYHIVE on location in Vancouver with Van City Beats, Eats, and more! Yes! Today on the show, we're excited to welcome Sophia Laurio, also known as Sosa, a Filipina multidisciplinary artist and powerhouse storyteller through movement. Based here on the unceded lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, Sophia's artistry spans hip-hop, house, Afro-Dancehall, contemporary, and more, with performances on major stages like World of Dance, RedBull Dance Your Style, and the Manila Fringe. She's also a key member of Floor Monarch's crew, Bon Bon. Beyond the stage, she's a musician and the founder of Barangay Project Society, a grassroots nonprofit uplifting BIPOC artists through mentorship and dance events. Y'all give it up for Sosa. Well, I'm excited to have Sophia here. She is somebody who I have seen within the dance community here in Vancouver since I pretty much moved back. You know, going to attend battles and events, I have very distinct memories of seeing you there, always repping yourself, always repping a very raw style. You know, like you don't, something that is notable for me about you is that you like don't hold back, you know, from whoever is in front of you. And really just like also through all these explorations of dance styles that I've seen you study and evolve through, like to see all of that show up every time. And so there's like mad respect on my end in regards to that like you have consistently grown, evolved, and that you put that on the dance floor. And now you're also in a place where I'm seeing you give that back and teach that to the next generation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, oh my God, so beautiful.
Just gotta uplift my fellow Filipinas up in here, you know? So this is dope because this show has been building an archive now from 2023 to 2025. You are our 91st interview. I know, it's crazy to think that we have that much, but like for me, what excites me is that we actually have this documentation of stories from creatives in Van City, whether it's in music, dance, art, food. And so it's your turn. And we actually get to know a bit more about you. And, you know, like, I don't even know, like, where is it that you grew up and where you came from and how creativity in your upbringing shaped who sits in front of us today?
You know what? I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I just started meditating like as a practice.
We love it.
And often what comes about is just, you know, gratitude towards where I really came from. And I feel like when I was growing up, I used to talk about it so much because it was so different from like, you know, when I moved here, it was such a culture shock. But I was born and raised in Manila, Philippines. And specifically, I came from the squatter areas where, and if you don't know what squatter means, it's basically like, where like people settle and maybe they build the houses there, but they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
I was born and raised there up until I was 12. My mom, she moved to Canada when I was 8. So I actually didn't have her for like 5 years of my life. And it was my grandparents, my aunt, my uncle, and just like 7 of us cousins in one single home. And I didn't see my mom until I was 12 when she finally got her PR. And then she was able to sponsor us from the Philippines, me and my sister, to Canada. And then that's kind of how actually when my like pre-professional dance journey started. But in the Philippines, like I was always like singing and dancing. And like I was that kid in the family that like the aunts would come over and then they would bribe me like 5 pesos. And that's a lot to me as a kid, you know? Because like 1 peso can buy you like a pop or like, no, not even a pop, like maybe like candies and stuff like that. So they would give me like 5 pesos and I was like, oh my God, I can buy so many candies with this.
Yes.
And they would just be like, dance for them or sing for them. And I was like whipping out Celine Dion, like Queen. I would sing all the high belting songs when I was like 4 or 5 years old, ballads, like powerhouses. And so I actually used to think I was going to be a singer. Like I would be the singer at the high school graduation, like leading like the national, like the anthem and everything. And then when I came to Canada, I was more of a dancer because of the language barrier. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And so then you came here when you were 12. Where did you grow up here?
In Surrey,
Okay.
in Wally. I went to Kwantlen Park Secondary, and it was a very, very hard life. Just because I like the language, the culture of it all, like the social aspect of the difference in Western culture versus like where I grew up.
What did you notice?
Like people weren't very upfront with their feelings and their opinions. I think where I grew up in the Philippines, it was very upfront. It was very like in your face. It was very like if I had a problem with you, I would confront it right away and would talk it out right now. And then back then it was more like for example, like I had this one situation where I said something and it wasn't even anything bad. It was just like a observation. And then this kid like told another kid, and that was new to me because we don't do that in the Philippines. So I was so confused as a kid. I was like, why did I do that? Like I literally was genuinely confused. I was like, why would you say that? I thought you were my friend. Like that was crazy to me. And even like being good at something was like weird. Like I remember being just like, you know, singing was like, it wasn't a big deal until it was a big deal here. Like, oh, like, I don't know, they just call you a show off or like even in like the first dance class, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really, really good at this. And people was like, oh, she's just a show off or she likes to show off. And I was like, what?
Aww.
No, it was wild. It was wild. I remember people like, I would say, because like all my English, most of it I learned from movies. And like in the Philippines, because it was also colonized by Americans, that we were infiltrated a lot by like American pop culture. And so like I remember watching like Are We There Yet with Ice Cube and like White Chicks with the brothers. Wayan Brothers. No, that's how I learned my English. And so but again, I'm Filipino, so like I speak Tagalog fluently. So certain words I would mispronounce. And I would be made fun of like crazy. And it honestly, it made me feel so small. Like it made me not want to speak. And it's wild when like growing up my whole childhood, I've always been a confident person. Like nobody can tell me nothing. Like I'm me and I was confidently me.
Yeah.
And so when that type of thing was happening with language, I was like, oh, nah. And so I think that's why I leaned so hard on dance, because I was like, you know what? I may not be able to speak, you know, the language as good as you do, but I'm still more talented, you know? And I kind of like, I clapped back with my talent. I was like, I'm going to do this. And next thing I knew, I became like, I came from, you know, Sophia the fob.
Fresh off the boat, even though we came on a plane.
To Sophia the dancer. And then everybody respected me because like, they were like, wow, like you're amazing. Wow, you're performing. And to like, and again, going back to like gratitude thing, I was like, man, like I used to be the girl from the squatter area who, you know, mispronounces certain English words, and I still do now. And to like being admired and receiving applause and receiving so much love to something that I do authentically me. And I like that every time, like if I think about it hard enough, like it makes me cry because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not supposed to make it and I made it and then some. And so, yeah.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that crazy? I was like, my mom is a single mom. She moved here in her like 30s.
And worked hard
in a culture she barely knew, language that she had to get used to.
A whole new system to navigate.
A whole new system with 2 daughters that are like in their teenage rebellious, highest attitude years.
Oh my gosh.
And then to now, you know, where I'm like, I'm in peace. I love it. I love it so much.
I love this era. I would love to know, like, you mentioned dance, but do you recall like a specific moment or a series of moments that led to you really embracing yourself, especially coming up against like these cultural barriers and these perceived setbacks?
Yeah. We had a field trip that was supposed to be at Harbor Dance Center. It was actually Eric Malapad's class.
Nice.
And I remember I was like 15 or something, and I was talking to my uncle, who is my uncle by marriage, like from my aunt. And I remember telling him, I was like, yeah, we had this field trip, you know, and it's supposed to be this dance class at this dance studio downtown. And he's like, are you gonna go? And I was like, oh, I don't know anyone. Like that's what Gemini in me, like antisocial. Like, nobody talk to me, please. Nobody make conversation with me.
Yeah.
He's like, you should go. Like, you're gonna regret it if you don't go. And so I ended up going, and that was my very, very first like studio dance class. But that was the first official, like, somebody who was like a professional dancer teaching a class, and I'm like surrounded by people who are there by choice. You know what I mean? And ever since then, I just never stopped. I just leaned so hard into it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay, you just mentioned a few of your earliest teachers. Like, who else were significant in introducing you to the culture or the different dance cultures that you've now learned and participated in?
The most significant person would probably be Brazilian Puerto Rican woman named Angela Lowndes. I hope that she gets to see this one day.
Oh my gosh.
Angela
shout
Lowndes
outs.
is probably my dance mom. I remember being 14, around the same age. She came to my school. She was like a guest teacher for the dance elective that I was in. And she took notice of me, and she invited me to be a part of this all-female dance group called Volume 1.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember saying no to her because I said, I can't afford it. And it was like probably like $150 a month or something. Yeah. But at the time, it seemed a lot. I was 14 years old. I didn't have no job. Like, my mom's a single mom.
That's a lot.
Yeah, my mom was a single mom. She's already like...
stretched thin.
Yeah, she's already like stretched herself thin for her 2 daughters, and then like having a house. And at the time, like, my grandparents was also living with us. So there was just a lot. And she's also supporting still family back home. So I couldn't bring myself to, like, I told Angela, I was like, I can't afford this. Like, my mom will never pay for this. And, you know, I said no twice, I think. And then eventually she was like, you know what? Write me a letter of why you deserve to be in this group, and I'll give you a free scholarship.
Wow.
And I remember writing the letter. I was crying so much.
Oh, what did you write?
I was like, I'm going to work so hard. I'm going to prove to you that I deserve this opportunity. I will prove you that I'm the best. I'm going to make your time so worth it. Aww. And which honestly was the catalyst for me to start Barangay Project. Because somebody took a chance on me, and I was like, I want to do that too for people. And like, yeah. And honestly, like, I never paid for I was with her for like 5 years, I think. And I never paid once.
Wow. She
which
really
at the time,
invested in you.
The other members didn't know I was not paying. They thought I was just like a regular schmegular, like, you know, paying student. But yeah, nobody knew, and we kept it a secret because like she didn't want it to be like, well, why did she get to, you know? So I was working extra hard to make it, at least to make her feel like, you know, you didn't make a wrong decision. Like, like, place your bet on me, girl.
Yes. And she did.
And now here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, shout outs to Ange.
No, I love you so much. I owe you my life. Honestly, I'll give you my kidney if you need it. For real.
It's on record.
Yeah, it's on record.
On record.
All my kidney, my liver is yours, girl.
How did Barangay Project start? What does it mean? Tell us the origin story.
Barangay Project, before I met Angela Lowndes, I watched a movie called Honey. And in that movie, you know how she like was passionate about like helping the street kids, and she opened up this nonprofit. So that was actually the original seed planted in my head. When I watched that movie, I was probably 8, 9 years old, and I was like, that's gonna be me one day. Fast forward, I moved out of the Philippines. I didn't come home for 5 years. So I came back. I was 18 years old. I was at Jollibee. with my cousin.
Which is like our KFC or Church's Chicken.
But like,
they have spaghetti, they have chicken,
yes,
they have rice.
Yes, way more diverse. But we were at Jollibee, and it was like a glass window. We were sitting at a table against it, and there was these street kids, like half naked. They were like having a dance battle. And I was like, why are they doing that? They were having a dance battle because they were trying to impress me. And I guess like, what I took from it was like, are they trying to get my attention to give them something? Anyways, long story short, I ended up buying them food. But in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so lucky. And like, here they are, like, with nothing, like literally nothing. And somehow they found a way to like use dance to make themselves smile, make myself smile, entertain me and themselves, and help themselves get food. And I just like needed to give more. I feel like I was like, no, like, this is insane. Like, I need to do something about this. But I don't live in the Philippines, so I don't have a lot of access into how I could do that. So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna start it anyways. I named it Barangay because I'm from Barangay Tramo. And Barangay means village. I was having a conversation with one of my best friends, Simran Satcher.
Shout outs to Simsies.
We were talking about, you know, I think we were talking about patriarchy, honestly. But we were talking about how, you know, it takes a village to really uplift and to be progressive and to create changes, and that you can't do it on your own. And that to me is enough of like inspiration to be like, yeah, it takes a village, and I want to create a village. And Barangay came from like, you know, me trying to create my own tribe, my own village where I feel like I belong, and it's all people of color are uplifted and championed and prioritized and given access to and thought about, not an afterthought, but prioritized as a thought. That I will primarily target this audience to help and support and uplift, and not just like a, hey, maybe we should have a couple people of color in here, you know? So I wanted to create a village, and I wanted it to be my language, because for so long I was made fun of for sounding like me. And so my mission was, everyone is going to learn how to say this word. And that was my way of reclaiming my little self and being ashamed of, because there was a time when I was a kid where I like sounding whitewashed. Like when people tell me like, oh, like your English is so good, that was like music to my ears. And like the process of decolonizing myself was like decades long. Like hearing whitewash was like such a compliment to me, that when I did Barangay Project, I was like, no, all of you are gonna learn how to say this properly. It's not barangay, it's barangay. And project, because, you know, project is something that is ongoing. It's never finished. And to me, Barangay Project, it's never gonna be done. It's always going to be ongoing. We're always going to be evolving. And it's never gonna stop. There's never going to be finite or a ceiling to it. And so that's kind of what Barangay Project means to me, that we're always constantly building a village, building community, building dreams, building hope, building new beliefs, building new systems.
Yes, reclaiming ourselves.
Yes.
And having pride. So how is Barangay Project organized or like structured right now?
Barangay Project is turning 5 years old this year. Ooh. How insane.
Yes, kindergarten.
Yeah, no. It's so wild because I started in 2020, and 2020
was a crazy time.
Was a crazy time to be starting a nonprofit.
Yeah.
2020 was also the year I quit my full-time job because I was a server for like over a decade. And I did that. I was working 2 or 3 jobs before I became a full-time artist and took a full deep dive and like, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself 100%. And I started my nonprofit. And at first it started as like a free Zoom classes to get everybody out of depression from this pandemic.
Thank God.
And then I started teaching like free classes at Robson Square. And I didn't even have funding then. I was just trying to build my resume of like the things that I was doing for the community. And then eventually I learned how to do grant writing, which was a separate traumatizing experience by itself. And so once I unlocked that, funds started coming. They started trusting me. And then I started with high schools. I worked with North Surrey Secondary like twice. I love them. I love the students that come out of North Surrey. Very, very hardworking, focused, very well-behaved kids. I started working with New West Secondary. And then after that, I started getting more and more schools, private schools, working at SFU. So yeah, many, many programs. And then from, because like my goal initially was like, I want to spread all of this knowledge that I have about street dance and why it's helped me become who I am today. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I want to bring party back. And so I started Move Together Dance Festival, which became an annual festival that, we still had battles, but it was really about teaching people how to party and dance with each other and dance together and just continue really like more programs of like teaching people about authentic street dance culture and giving more like light to specific names that have been a big part of like street dance history. So
I want to move into talking about more on battle culture, but also like your experiences now traveling more, representing yourself, entering international battles. Like you just came back from Japan, like you mentioned, but you also won a significant battle out in Puerto Rico last year, which was so sick. What do you feel like traveling and battling has taught you?
A lot.
About yourself.
Yeah, a lot. And on a personal level, like I feel like as a human being, I've evolved so much through battling, through losing mostly. Like I remember I used to cry if I don't make it past prelims, guys. Like
It's okay if you cry.
I was very passionate. And I would get so crazy because I'd be like, I'm way better than that person. I like cry so hard. And over the years, and there was a time when I disappeared from the battle scene because I was like, man, like, what is the point? Like, why am I subjecting myself to this? Like, I know I'm great. Like, I don't need people to tell me, to judge me and tell me I'm not good enough, or maybe they don't tell me, but like make myself feel small, So I disappeared for a while, and then I came back because I was reflecting to myself. I was like, okay, like why am I not going back? Like, is it really because like I'm confidently saying, hey, I don't need anybody to judge me, or is it because I'm scared? And so I try my best to never move from a place of fear. And so that was a challenge to myself to be like, okay, I want to see how I feel and go back to this, that like, is it because I'm scared? Is it because I'm insecure that I'm not battling, that I don't want to feel lost and I'm scared to feel rejected? So I challenged myself to do that. And even when I lost, still like it didn't feel the same. And I think for me that was an indication like, okay, like I've healed from that, like I've grown as a person, like I no longer define myself by certain experiences, but rather like what I learned from that. And like losing battles, whether for a while too, there was a time where like I would make it to finals and I would never win. And I was like, I called myself like a finals specialist because I would always somehow knew how to make it to the finals, but I would never win.
That is so annoying.
That is
like
the
threshold that you want to cross.
It's more annoying than not making it past prelims, for real, seriously. And oh my god. And from that, I think I learned to, and I went to therapy for years, and I've learned tools from therapy.
Shout outs to therapy.
Honestly, everybody needs it. Nothing has to be wrong with you for you to need therapy.
Claro.
For it is just for you to be healthy. I went to therapy and I learned some tools through that, you know, a win is so momentarily, you know, anyone can win any day. But like losing to me is just like, I feel like I get stronger every time I lose. You know, it's kind of like doing reps at the gym. Like the more I do reps, like the stronger I get, the more I get used to it. And I think too, like learning how to love the process more than the outcome is something that I've genuinely enjoyed so much more, even when it comes to performances. Like I am so in love with the process more than the outcome, more than the performance and the show and the accolades I get after. It's the process that feeds my soul. It's the, okay, I lost this time, what can I work on? Like, and to me, the idea of, oh my gosh, I have so much more room to grow, that is exciting to me. That I have no ceiling. That because now I'm winning battles, and when I win battles, to be honest with you, like, it's a fleeting feeling. When I won in Puerto Rico, I was telling my partner, I was like, dang, it's so weird. When I lose, I ruminate on it for weeks. Because when I won, everyone was like, oh my God, congratulations. How does it feel? Oh my God, you won. How do you feel? Oh my God, you won.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I won. And it was such a, like, oh yeah, it happened, you know? What's next? And it's so crazy that, like, sometimes I even have to, like, tell myself, like, you can also, like, ruminate on your wins and let it last longer. But to be honest, it doesn't really last that long. You're always on to the next thing and the next thing. It's like, okay, I got over this hurdle. What's next? You know? And I think in your losses, you grow so much more because you get to sit with yourself a lot, and you get to reflect more of, like, okay, why do I feel so horrible about this? And like, why? And it's not about why you shouldn't feel horrible, but it's like, okay, what do you do after? So I think from that, it's like, okay, what do I do after this loss? Is it gonna stop me? Is it enough for me to stop dancing? No. And I also learned that it's so much more when the room thinks you won.
The people's choice, baby.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, okay, I didn't win the competition, but I won the battle. Yeah.
And you won the hearts of the people.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. You know, it's the way you move people, whether you lost or made it far or not. Like, there's times where I don't even make it to top 8. But, like, kids would come up to me. People would come up to me. Oh, my God, I loved your round so much. I'm so inspired. And, like, to me, that's my win. It's like, dang, you know, there's 7 billion people on Earth, and you thought I changed something in your heart, or that, like, you thought of me as a compass to, like, change the direction you want to move into. And that's infinite. That lasts long. That's legacy. And legacy is more than a trophy. Legacy is forever. It's way beyond my own lifetime. So yeah, I've learned how to love the losses in the battles.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, sit with everything you just shared, because it was so honest and potent. And, you know, for anyone who's going to watch this in the playback, especially the young ones coming up in the scene right now, like, there was so much gold in this, and I hope you take it to heart for the next time you enter a battle. Or also, like, you don't know how you made other people feel by your round, even if it was just a prelim round. You know, like, that whole philosophy on each one, teach one. It's like, we're always doing that for each other. Even from someone who's just born is, like, still teaching us, as vice versa, as we're also teaching them. And That is like, that's the heart and soul of everything.
And I ask my students this too all the time. Like, why do you dance in the first place? Do you dance to feel joy, or do you dance to feel seen? Right? If you dance to feel seen, that's a whole different story. But if you dance from a place of joy, why does it matter? You got to dance. Did it feel good?
Yeah.
Did you have fun? And something that my partner, and I love him for this, whatever it is, whatever the outcome of a battle or a round is, he always says, did you have fun?
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that was fun. You know, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter if I lost or not, or if I did well. Did you have fun? I can have my critiques later, you know? But it's like, did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, I did. That's all that matters.
I guess in your own life, my question is like, how is dance transformative?
Wow, a lot. Dance to me is somatic. Any time that I felt anything, whether it's sadness or frustration or joy or excitement, I always go back to dance. And to me, dance has helped me with reflection a lot. And I think reflection, the more you reflect, the more it leads to confidence too, in the way that you think, the way you see the world, the way you think of the world, the way you would try to understand how the world moves, how you move within the world, and how everybody else move around you. And when you're dancing and nobody's watching, like, what is it that you're really reflecting on before, during, and after? And so that's why I think, like, also dance helps tune out outside things. You're not focused on anything else but the music and the feeling. And I think as human being, especially in today's age where technology is constantly like information down your throat, you need something that's gonna tune out all of that. So when you're dancing intentionally, with intentions,
that's
set,
the prayer.
Yeah, it helps you reflect. And I think that we don't reflect enough. So I think that in a transformative way, if you have the ability to reflect on what you say, what people say to you, what you give out to the world, what you're receiving from the world, I think the world is a better place.
Oof. Lock it in. That's it. We got it. Oh, man, Sosa, this is so good.
Thank you for this platform.
Yes, for being on the show. Now it's time for the treat.
Okay.
This has been Van City Beats, Eats,
and more.
Okay, cheers.
Ay.
Oh no, I need the part with the mango. Sige na. 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Yikes.
Bye.